Hello and welcome. I'm Jamie and you are listening to the Everyday Queen podcast, the place where we celebrate everyday queens conquering their inner BS and doing epic things in life, love and business. This podcast is for the mamas navigating mum life, the boss babes killing it in their careers, the biz babes forging their own paths, and all of you queens in between. I'm here to share with you the real, the raw, and the BS-free tips and tricks on turning your inner mean into an inner queen so that you can show up every day fierce, powerful, and unstoppable. Let's get to it. Hello everyone. Welcome back to officially the first episode that I am recording in 2021. Today is actually going to be a little bit of a different episode to what I have previously put out, because today I am completely winging it. Yep. Cue shock horror face right here. I'm not going to lie, I am super nervous. Normally when I record my podcast, I have prepped some notes and I have a bit of an idea about what I want to talk about. And that obviously takes a lot of time. And the reason that I do that is because I just want to deliver nothing less than the best value that I possibly can for everyone. But something that I am going into the new year with is letting myself have a little bit of freedom and be a little bit more free-spirited, so that basically things don't always have to be so planned. Because one thing that I have learnt is that you can have the best laid out plan and things can still go wrong. And that is totally cool. That is life. But the only way that you can learn to roll with those punches per se is by just letting yourself wing it. So here we go. I do have a few little messages that I want to specifically talk about. And this is number one. So it's about just letting yourself feel what you need to feel and going with it, going with the flow a little bit more, and not being so regimented. My baby has actually taught me this lesson. So for most of you who don't know me well, you won't know that I have a little 4-month-old baby. His name is Harrison. He is beautiful, but at the moment he is being an absolute pest when it comes to sleep. So we have gone from sleeping 7 to 8 hours blocks at night and good sleeps through the day to pretty much waking up like a newborn every 2 to 3 hours, sometimes even every hour. So this mama is bloody tired. Anyway, what I've learned from that is that sometimes we put such strong expectations on ourselves, and then that overflows onto people around us. The thing with a baby is that you can have the best and strictest schedule, but if they don't want to do what you want them to do, you can't force them. I can't do anything about him waking up at night. I obviously, have tactics that I use to deal with it when it comes up. But as for actually controlling how frequently he wakes, there's nothing I can do. So that is lesson one. Lesson one for this year is learn to go with the flow. Learn to just let things go, take it in your stride, and try not to put so much pressure on yourself. On that note, that is the next topic that I want to talk about today, because this year didn't really start for me the way that I wanted it to, or the way that I had planned it to. Nothing bad happened. It's just that we came into this year, number one, with a baby who didn't want to sleep anymore. And number two, it was just hectic. Christmas and New Year, I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like they're such busy times of the year. There's people that you want to catch up with. Everyone's usually on holidays, so it is a super social time of the year. And it is hard sometimes to fit all of that in. So this year we did our best to run around and visit everyone. And that was so new, taking a baby in tow to do all of that, which is potentially also why Harrison's sleep is off. But anyway, so this meant that my plan for starting the new year super chilled and just in my own space, writing out my goals, doing my visioning processes, doing my vision board, all of that beautiful stuff that I'd planned went completely out the window. And I have been feeling it. It really stresses me when I make plans and then they don't go the way that I want them to. So I've been really hard on myself about that. And then I've spent the last 3 days doing all of, the standard household stuff, getting everything organized, cleaned and tidied and fresh, because that is a huge thing for me for productivity. I cannot concentrate on, fun stuff like goals and vision boarding and even recording podcasts when I have a house that looks like a pigsty. So I've spent the last few days working on that, getting everything tidied and organized. And I was starting to find myself really annoyed with everything because, again, that's not the way that I wanted to start the new year. I had this beautiful idea in mind and it went out the window because life got in the way. And instead of just rolling with it like I've just been rambling about, I've just been extra hard on myself and feeling like I'm, number one, a complete fraud because I'm putting out all this beautiful positive stuff and talking to everyone about how you can set yourself up for an epic 2021. Meanwhile, I'm over here being basically just a housewife trying to sort everything out and not doing any of the stuff that I'm telling other people to do. So this is me calling myself out, but it's also me showing that life gets in the way and it's totally okay when things don't happen the way that you want them to. And instead of being so hard on yourself all the time, you have to just take a step back and take a breather because it's okay. It's okay to not start things off the way that you wanted it to go. It's okay for that picture perfect vision in your mind to not quite come to fruition the way that you wanted it to. It doesn't mean that you're a failure, and it doesn't mean that this is another year that you can flush down the toilet. Because do you know what? We're only 5 days into the new year. Just because you haven't done those things that you wanted to do doesn't mean that you're not going to still have an epic year. Tidy the stuff up that you need to, organize the things that you need to, do a brain dump, clear your mind, let things just flow out so that you can reset and start the year again the way that you really wanted to. I think sometimes we put so much pressure on not just ourselves, but on our goals and the vision that we want to create, that we get lost in it. And what we need to realize is that sometimes the goals that we have or the vision that we have for our lives doesn't come to fruition in exactly the same way that we think it will. It doesn't mean that it's not going to come to fruition, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to get everything that we want. It's just that the way that we imagine it happening in our head is not necessarily the way that the universe is going to deliver it to us. And I just want to do a disclaimer here. I do refer to the universe, but that's equally going to be, for religious people, it could be your God, or it's a higher being, or whatever it is for you. I just refer to it as the universe. That's just how I relate to things. But this message doesn't matter what your background is, what your beliefs are. It's still relevant. You just take out universe and add in what is relevant to you. So, yeah. it is super important to just realize that the universe does not always deliver things the way that you think it's going to. This is where you have to let go of the outcome a little bit. Like, it's amazing to sit and have these goals and do the work and make the action plans and feel inspired and take all of the action. But once you get to that stage, you have to let go of the outcome. You have to just trust that things will come to you the way that they need to, because at the end of the day, everything happens in its own divine timing. And we have very little control over that, which is going back to my initial message about having control over things and just being able to go with the flow. It's one of the biggest secrets to manifesting, another one of those things that people don't really talk about. So obviously we all talk about manifesting and, we sit and we envision stuff and we write out our intentions and, all of the jazz that you can find all over the internet. But the two things that people don't tell you about manifesting is that, number one, you can't just manifest something by sitting on it and not taking any action. And number two, you take the action, but you have to let go of the outcome because, like I said, you don't know how the universe is going to deliver things to you. And that brings me into my next little lesson or topic to talk about today. And side note, I'm really sorry if you are sitting there thinking, what a random freaking podcast. It totally is random, but I just had all of these things that I was thinking about. And I was like, you know what? I just need to sit down and record it, because chances are if I am feeling this way and have all these random little things floating around in my head, chances are there are other people out there feeling the same. So this is literally an entire podcast dedicated to me just, I guess, downloading my thoughts to you, because I want you to feel like I'm in your ears and I'm talking to you about the things that are going through your mind. So hopefully I'm nailing my goals right now. Anyway, this brings me on to my next topic and probably my final topic for today. And that is to allow things to pivot just as they need to. Just like with your goals and everything, there is a divine timing from the universe. I think that especially in business, that is also true. So when I first launched my business, I actually started with a network marketing company, and it was just what was right for me at the time. I had recently finished or was about to finish my coaching certification, and I'd found a few groups on social media that were using the same certification that I had done and had built these epic businesses. And one thing about me is that I'm really drawn to beautiful and pretty things. And I try to also make beautiful and pretty things. If anyone has seen my Instagram, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's just something that I pride myself on. Anyway, that means that I'm also attracted to like-minded people. So I found actually quite a number of groups on social media that were just doing beautiful things, and it looked amazing, and I was instantly drawn to it. Kind of like a bowerbird, I guess, drawn to beautiful things. And when I realized that these women had created amazing empires out of the same coaching certification that I had done, I knew that I just had to jump on board and give it a go. So that's how my business started. I was working with a network marketing company, and I am still involved with that company. It's just not my main focus at the moment. So yes, I launched in 2018 with the network marketing company, and it honestly changed everything for me. That business opened up my mind to so much, and it's really where all of my personal development really started. And it was my first real dive into business. Obviously, before that, I had been managing pharmacies and quite hands off from the owners too. So the day-to-day running of those businesses was entirely on me, which taught me a whole heap of other lessons as well. And the biggest thing that I've realized through that time is, number one, how much stress affects us. Our health, our sleep, our everyday, and at the end of the day, stress affects how successful we are. So that was my first little tangent. That was my first little pivot in my business. I went from the network marketing company. I found my own business coach, my first business coach, and I started working with them. And we spoke about needing to niche down a little bit further than the general health that I was doing. And when we sat and looked at things, stress was the big topic that I really picked up and decided should be my niche, because it was something that was really close to my heart. I had struggled so much with stress. People around me were struggling with stress. My beautiful friends were so stressed. And it was just, for me, the big topic that needed to be addressed, but I didn't feel was being addressed appropriately. So that's where I started. But in the last 12 months, I have pivoted again, because I realized that yes, stress is absolutely 100% the massive issue for people, but it's still not quite the big domino that knocks over the little dominoes. Stress is still a little domino, because for me, behind the stress is actually a whole host of other things. And if you listen to my first podcast, I did talk a lot about this and how this all came to fruition. But basically, I realized that my stress throughout the years, which I had blamed on everyone around me, and I had also blamed myself as well, and my mindset and just my way of viewing things, but I definitely blamed a lot of it on people around me and my work and my bosses and everyone else. But what I realized recently was that stress is just one thing, and what was behind the stress was really what needed to be addressed. And it wasn't just my job, and it wasn't the people around me. My stress was really caused completely intrinsically by myself and by my perception of things. So what I've realized, and I know that there are other people out there that completely agree with this as well, that your stress is actually caused by your own self-limiting beliefs, your own beliefs, and the way that you react to them. So think about it this way. You are so busy at work, you have a ton of things on your to-do list, and someone comes to you and says, hey, I really need this project done. It's super important and it needs to go ahead of everything else. What is your reaction? My guess is that you instantly feel that pressure. And if you're like me, you're someone who wants to perform and you want to do well. So instead of standing up for yourself and saying, look, no, I really don't have time for that, you'll take it on. You'll say, yep, okay, I can do this. And then you go completely internal. You go completely in your brain. And in your brain, you are thinking, oh my God, I cannot do this. Like, I have no more time. I don't know how I'm supposed to get this done. If I get this done, everything else is just going to fall away. I'm not going to be able to get it all done. I can't do everything. Like, okay, you get the point. You know exactly what I'm talking about. If you take a minute though and look at that process, it's your beliefs that are actually framing those thoughts and that pattern. And then it turns from beliefs into actions. So because you're feeling so stressed about something else being added to your list and you don't think you can get it all done because you don't think you've got enough time, you then, instead of just going, okay, right, this is my plan, this is what I need to do, or this is who I need to talk to, you then go, still in your mind, and take yourself out of action. And you either dawdle on it, or you make that happen, but you sacrifice something else. And that just continues this cycle of shitty thoughts and shitty beliefs, and it then sort of overflows onto other areas. I hope that makes sense to everyone. But if you think about an example for yourself, like take a few minutes and think about the last time that you felt super stressed. And then think about the thoughts and the beliefs that went along with that. Because I can tell you right now, it wasn't just the stress. Stress is just a feeling. It's the beliefs and the thoughts and the patterns that go along with it that are actually what affect us. So saying that you're going to deal with stress and not be so stressed all the time, or, live a hashtag stress-free life, is not quite hitting the nail on the head. Because at the end of the day, to be able to reach that as an intention or as a goal, you actually have to deal with what's going on behind that. What's going on internally? What thoughts and patterns and beliefs are leading to you feeling so stressed, especially when it's over something that really shouldn't cause you so much drama. I also noticed being in a lot of business networking groups that people, especially women in small business or coaching businesses or whatever they are, and this is not to say that it's not relevant to women who are super career focused, so please don't let this lose you, but this is just what I noticed mainly for businesses. Women in business go into these amazing networking groups and they hire these amazing coaches, and what they think they need from it is strategy. They've got this great idea, they just don't know how to execute it. They just need some help with the strategy, with the marketing, with the actual putting of it all together. What is actually going on behind that is completely mindset related. It is self-sabotage patterns that are popping up and taking you out of action because, again, you just don't quite know enough. So I see all the time in these groups women who have amazing businesses and just need to work on them and be seen and be out there doing the things that they're meant to do, but they are in their heads. And I've been there. I've 100% been there, so I'm not calling anyone out, but this is just the truth of it. We're all out there looking for the perfect strategy, but what the actual issue is that our minds are just not right. And I think it's Tony Robbins who says that business or success is only 20% strategy, and it is in fact 80% mindset related. So that is where my business is pivoting to. This year, it is going to be super laser focused on mindset, self-sabotage, and how that can affect or lead to your success. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, isn't it? We are all here to create that dream, that ultimate goal, to live that epic life that we have in our mind. And at the end of the day, the only thing that is holding us back from that, apart from just letting go and letting the universe tell us what we need, is our mindset. So on that note, I am going to wrap this podcast up here because I feel like I have probably ranted and rambled at you enough. But like I said, I just wanted to unload and let everyone know my few little messages for this year and give you an idea of what direction I am heading in for this year, because obviously I'm here so that you all can come along the ride with me. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you love this episode, be sure to let me know by leaving a review or sharing and tagging me in your stories. If you aren't already following me on social media, come and get your daily dose of BS-free inspiration at Jamie Lee White. While you're there, click the link in my bio to download my free workbook, 3 Steps to Overcoming Your Inner BS. That's it from me today. I can't wait to chat to you in the next episode.